if they need to watch it later, they can. Thank you guys for joining. I've got some ideas for what we can do, but I need your feedback so that as we move through this meeting, it can be useful. Like, so tell me, like, what have you guys learned in the last couple of weeks? Or what are you getting hung up on, or what do you feel like our next steps should be as we try to figure out how to make this client completion report work?
I learned that our need audit's kind of convoluted. It's got way too many libraries set up and too much stuff, and we're going to probably go through and try to download a bunch of it into a hard drive and clean it all up and make it so it's not so messy.
Did anybody else have an experience like that?
I thought ours is pretty easy, because we do have an online inventory system. I was able to export that and then import it into the NEAT, and it was actually pretty slick. It just took some time to add in all the pricing and everything, but other than that, I like it.
Gotcha. I had a similar experience to Scott, and I don't even have a real database, but I sure had too many extra setup libraries and stuff that created some confusion for me. How many of you guys were able to accomplish the assignment from last time, which was to get your setup libraries, or your supply libraries set up? How many of you were able to get a bunch of or all of your regular supplies into those supply libraries?
I got some of it done.
We don't have ours done yet.
All right. I'm assuming, Jesse, you were saying you did get your stuff moved over from based off your inventory?
I did, yes.
Okay.
All ours is over there too. Ours is working okay.
All right. Did you guys kind of do an import, or did you have to go in and key them in individually?
No, we did it. I followed Ian's little video and just did the whole data dump thing and put it all over there at once.
But it actually worked when you did it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It took a couple tries. I had to fix some of the cells. If the cell wasn't exactly right, I had to kind of adjust the cell of a certain item or something just to get it to go over, but it did after a while.
Okay. Any aha moments during any of those processes? Like, did you guys figure out anything that you might be missing that you need to add, or anything extra that you thought, oh, this is something we'll never use? Or did you just find some easy way to do it? Anything like that you want to share?
Well, if it's an old dead inventory that you don't use, you can just go in there individually and just take it right out on the need audit side.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got a couple on the line that don't have their stuff in. Kyle, for you guys, were you able to watch the video from last time and get in the last time we basically added a bunch of measures just to make like a health and safety measure for ASHRAE fan. Were you able to add any of those in?
I just barely watched the video. I missed it last week or the week before, whenever it was, and then we were gone to training, and I've been gone for a couple of days, so I've just barely watched it, and we're just barely getting started on it.
Okay. I'll kind of try to keep that in mind, but we'll keep moving. You'll probably have to.
Hey man, I had a question.
Yeah.
So screws, tape, and zip ties, those are considered auxiliary items, right? Though, like, so we don't have to input those because they're.
That's a good question. So I'm going to write that down under our questions here. Do we need to include ancillary items, such as screws, zip ties, etc. If I was to take a stab at an answer on that one right now, I think that we want to, but I don't know what that's going to look like in the real world. Like that may be making some of this stuff so detailed and cumbersome that it might be overcomplicating it. So I don't know the answer to it right now.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Kind of how I was looking at it is I was going to include that stuff into my setup cost, because it's, you know, that list or the setup or supply library is kind of make a list for the bigger items. But if you can throw like $10 in for screws and pipe dope and, you know, just little things that, you know, I mean, who's an auditor say, you know, you're going to need 15 screws for this, and it's going to cost you $3.33, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to use that setup cost for, just for things like that.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things that I'm still trying to balance is, so on one hand, we use the Neat MIA tool to estimate our costs. So the auditors are going to go out there and estimate it. But then we're using this client completion report to show what our actual costs were. And so I'm assuming as part of that process, we should be sitting down and saying, okay, how many tubes of caulk did we actually use? And because when you close it out, you basically have to show, for this measure, we used all of these materials, so it actually cost, you know, so many dollars and 25 cents. But yeah, so I don't know, like, I'll be curious as we go through this if it does just mean we have to itemize right down to the very minute detail, or if there are ways to keep track of that stuff, but, you know, simplify it in some way. I don't know. But so I just want to take a minute to look at, oh, I got to undo something I did here. There we go. I just want to take a minute and kind of let's make sure we're focused in on what our goal is, or at least our short-term goal is, that and I'm going to kind of think out loud here for a minute, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm getting way off base here, but I hope I didn't create more work orders than I wanted. So, all right, I got to remember how to get the client completion report up. When we're all done, our client completion report is going to show us, is that under work orders? No.
That's the very first.
Or do I go under client?
Click on clients and pull up whatever job you're looking at. And then it's
Under client.
Yeah, right there.
Here's my, I went and edited some of my stuff just so I can keep track of the example that we're working on. So I just named my client, my CCR clients for client completion report, and I named my agency. You guys will probably want to leave your agency, the name of your agency, but I kind of named everything CCR whatever, just so I can keep track of my samples here. But so if I open up the client and I look at the client completion report, then it's telling me I've got an audit, I've got a couple of work orders, and it's going to give me the economics here. And isn't our goal right now to figure out, geez, how do I zoom in on this thing? That it? Isn't our goal to basically make sure that these economics are showing us what the cost is for every measure? That's not really the...
Yeah, and this SR, and we have to put that number in the BWR of the total MMBTUs saved. So whatever that the BWR is asking us, we need to find that number.
Yeah. So building insulation, and that's, as you can tell, I'm just really taking a closer look at some of this stuff right now. So this is saying, this is all energy savings based on the measure, right? But we haven't got any of our actual total costs in here, I think. So I think we're supposed to figure out how to actually finish out. So we need to create a work order which would show what our estimated cost is, but then we need to go into that work order and actually use it to detail what our actual costs are. And I'm assuming that if we did that, then our actual cost would show up here because it would show our total costs and our actual SIRs. So what I was thinking is, in this meeting, do we need to take steps to maybe set up a sample audit that we can all work off of and create a couple of work orders off of that and add some measures to that work order, so then we can go in and kind of go through the whole process of you know, finishing the work order. And because I think at some point, don't we need to get into this screen here and identify who the contractor is, what the cost center is, and then we go into the work order and work orders. Don't we get into the work order and like show them this screen and go in and, is it this one? We put in, yeah, right here where we actually put in the actual costs, actual quantity and actual costs of the job. Is that right? Or do you guys know?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do we need to do to get there? Do we need to go in and create like a fake audit that we can all work off of for a bit? Or do you guys have something you could work off of?
You could create one and just, don't get too complicated on it. Just put a couple measures on it, and we can just go through those measures and see what happens.
Okay, so if that's the case, I went through and tried to create a very simple audit. So let me close a couple of screens so this doesn't get too messy. So if each of you guys will create a neat audit, and I don't know, maybe just title it the CCR audit or whatever works for you. I apologize if this is very small on your screens. I don't know how to make this get any bigger. For the client ID, we may need, did we create a client last time? We may need to.
No, we started.
Okay,
we started putting arrows together.
So let's create a client and name that client CCR client. And then you'll just select your agency. And then from that you can go in and create your audit, like start a neat audit, or if you've already started one, then just make sure you select the right client. But so create a CCR client, and then let's start an audit for that CCR client. And then I think the next, then it'll be, now we got to make sure we're using the right libraries for all of this. And Kyle or anybody else who wasn't with us last time, if, like, we're just kind of, please do this while you're there on your computer. Open something up and create a client, and so each of you have something to work off of while we're stumbling our way through this. So the setup library, I had to go back in and name my new setup library, and I put the CCR in front of it so that I could keep all this straight. So if you guys created a setup library last time, grab that setup library. If you need to get into that setup library and put a CCR in front of it or something, if that will help. That's at least helping me keep things straight. But you can, you know, click on the setup library thing, and same thing with your supply library. If you want to put a CCR in front of that until you're ready to actually roll that into your regular production, then put a CCR in front of that or something. But so make sure you have the appropriate setup library, fuel cost library. Your fuel cost library, if you don't have anything showing up, then you need to get into your setup library and make sure you've created a fuel cost library. But I just went in here and put a CCR in front of one of my fuel libraries as well. And then I just grabbed Salt Lake as the weather file. But you guys can grab whatever normally works for you. I suppose if we all use Salt Lake, then we should all get similar results. Well, it's going to be a mixed bag because based off of your setup libraries, everybody's going to get slightly different stuff anyway. So it doesn't matter what setup library you use, or fuel, or weather files, right? Gosh. All right, let me know when you guys feel like you've got your client set up and you've got at least the first tab of the audit set up.
I'm good.
Good to go.
Okay. Oh, also, I put in just one condition story and 1,260 square feet. If you want to use those, then the walls that I've got in here will be accurate. Don't know if it's important or not on our example, but what the heck.
All right, I think I'm good.
All right. Kyle, how are you coming?
I'm good.
Okay. I guess you may not have a setup or a supply library from last time, but maybe.
No, I'm trying to do two things at once here. I'm trying to input it and get this other part figured out too.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you just need to grab your normal supply library and setup library for now, and then you can go swap them later for whatever you set up from the first video. So, okay, so let's get into the shell. So in the shell, all I did was I created 4 walls, a north, an east, a south, and a west. I'll just switch so you can see that. And I just did, let me switch back for a second. So I just did platform frame, 2x4, stucco exterior, ambient outside. And for my east and west walls, it was 224 square feet. And for the north and south walls, it was 360. Under the existing insulation, I just said it was an R13, and we're not going to evaluate to add anything since the wall is 2x4. So if you guys will add those 4 walls, and then let me know when you're done.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready as well.
Okay.
We got it.
All right. Kyle, you ready?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So for windows, I just added a couple windows. I think, so I just put in, you know, some sliders, vinyl or wood, single panes. Put them in as loose, and I just made them 48 by 48 inches. I think I put 1 on the east and west walls, and then I put 2 on the north and south walls, and I think I just put the 1 on the east and west walls, and I think the doors go on the east and west walls. So if you'll add those windows, so there's some on each wall, and I just made them all 48 inches, and yeah, on the east and west I put 1, and then on the north and south I made them so that they each had 2. So we'll put those on and let me know when you're done.
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 I'm good.
Okay. Scott, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Looks like Shad is joining us. Shad, let me know when you can hear me, and I'll take a second to catch you up.
Me and Nate are here.
All right. So were you guys in on the last one, or did you catch the video of the last one?
No, we didn't.
Okay. So if you want to open up, create a, we're all creating one audit together right now. So if you can, open up a client and name that client CCR for client completion report. So CCR client, and then create an audit for that client. And we're just creating a very simple house. But make sure you get your setup libraries and stuff all set up properly. But you may just, once you've got it going, just jump to where we're at, and then you can catch up by watching. I am recording, so you can watch the first few minutes of this to get caught up after.
Okay.
But our goal is we're putting together an audit, and then we'll be able to have a generate a work order so we can actually create this client completion report and go in and use the work order to actually process the report appropriately. So, okay, so we got our walls and our windows so far. So for doors, I just put one door on the east side of the house, one door on the west side of the house. I just made them solid core. I said they were 20 square feet. Then it was loose for leakiness. So if you'll create one of these for your east and one for your west wall, and then let me know when you're ready.
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 I'm ready.
All right. And then I just did a standard unfinished attic. So unfloored 24-inch joists, the 1,260 square feet. I just put in that there's 6 inches of some blown fiberglass existing, and we're evaluating to add some cellulose on top of that. So create that attic and let me know when you're ready.
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 We're good.
All right. And then for the foundation, I did basically a 4-foot crawl space. So non-conditioned. It's 1,260 square feet. We're not evaluating, and I evaluated to just insulate the walls with a pin and drape. So I'm going to copy what you see there.
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
Okay.
Okay.
FYI, you can't use 3 inches on your 2-part foam. Some guy just told me that.
Oh, yeah? That's a good
I
point.
can only use 2.
All right. Noted. Actually, this is SIL, so if the foam's tested up to that, you could, but actually, the jury was still out on that one because the code expressly says you can go up to 3 1/4 with 2-part foam. Anyway, so I think we're okay only on the sill. Anywhere else,
Okay.
it has to be tested for that thickness. But ask me again tomorrow, and some other detail will come to mind and screw it all up, I'm sure. But anyway, okay, so we have all of our shell stuff in there. So we just created a 1,200 square foot house with 4 walls and 6 windows, or sorry, no, 2, 4, 7. Geez, 2, 4. Yeah, 6 windows, 2 doors. All right. For the heating tab, I just did a forced air natural gas furnace. Are those normal inputs? If they're not, let me know. But yeah, basically make a furnace and evaluate all for a high efficiency. And as you guys are looking at this, think about what it's going to tell us to do on the audit. And if we want to make the audit do a certain thing, we can definitely make adjustments to any of these inputs.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Okay, and then on the cooling, I did add some uninsulated duct. So and I just put it all in the subspace or in the crawl. So if you'll throw some duct work on there, just for fun.
Okay.
Ready?
We're good.
All right. On the cooling, I just put an evaporative cooler cooling the whole 1,260 square feet.
You got it.
Jesse, quit going so fast.
Got it.
You got it.
All right. For ducts and infiltration, I'm not evaluating for duct sealing. Just did a whole house at pre at 2680, post at 1876. And then I just threw $150 into the budget. I haven't adjusted that to get an SIR of 1 yet. So.
Got it.
Got it.
All right.
Ready.
For my base loads, I put in a natural gas water heater in the unconditioned space. And I put an R value of 0 on the tank insulation. I put 2 shower heads at 3 gallons per minute for 20 minutes a day.
Got it.
Ready.
Ready.
All right. Refrigerator, I just grabbed a refrigerator, this General Electric BSS 25G, blah, blah, blah. It comes up at a 715 kilowatt hour year, whatever. And then I just made one up over here, as you can see from my model number. So if you don't have a library, or if your setup library or whatever you're pointed to does not have fridges to choose from, just grab one. But I purposely, made one that was substantially lower than this one, just so it would show a payback. So it would give me a refrigerator measure. And I just
Got it.
655.
Ready.
For the lights, I just put in, 22 60-watt bulbs, and I'm swapping them out with CFL. And my additional cost is $350 a bulb. Maybe that's high. So if they're 8-watt CFLs, I'm really talking about LEDs. Maybe what's a good bulb cost for those?
We're paying $250 now.
So $250. All right, put that in for my cost. And I don't know if you noticed on the windows, I did my additional cost on the windows at $250, but just assuming all of your setup libraries are set up to where you actually add that cost in. All right, just let me know when you're ready with your refrigerators and your lighting systems.
I'm ready.
Ready.
We're ready.
All right. Kyle, you still with us as well?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Thanks, man. Okay. I didn't use anything on the health and safety tab. I just went straight to itemized costs. And, so I selected my ASHRAE fan, but that's something, I don't think we got to that last time, did we?
Well, we put it in, but we lost ours somewhere. I don't know where it ended up.
Okay, so in the setup library, under my user-defined measures, so we need to create a user-defined measure. And so open up whatever setup library we were working in before. I named mine that CCR. And make sure that it is pointed at the right supply library. So last time in your supply library, if nothing else, we added, so here's my supply library. And I did add labor in my supply library for an and I titled it electrician labor per hour, and I put $70. And then I put all my construction materials on the construction materials tab. And I'm going to switch to the subform. So these were the materials I put in. So caulking, an elbow, insulated duct. So I put all of those in. And then over here, under my user-defined measures, I'm in a library that already has a couple created, so I made a copy of a different library. It already has some of them. But I created a new measure called HSM ASHRAE bath fan. If it would help, you could put the CCR in front of that, but either way, so make sure you have a bunch of supplies in the supply library. At least, you know, if you're playing catch up with us, add 4 or 5 of those real quick in your supply library. And then what you want to do under your user-defined measure, you want to add each one of those to the measure. And the whole idea is we're going to kind of test what Ian was doing. He was creating a package of a measure that was all bundled up into, here's a pile of materials. And his guys would actually put all of the stuff needed for this one measure in a box, and they'd put it on the truck and send it out. And then when the truck came back at the end of the day, then they would go through the box and say, okay, what's left over? Let's go and make a note that we didn't use the tape, or we didn't use the insulated flex duct, or whatever pieces you didn't use. I have no idea if this is going to be a good way for your agencies to do this or not, but let's try this way and see if it works, was kind of the idea. So over on, yeah, basically I just went through and added my labor at $2 an hour for an electrician. And then I added in every one of those items that we thought would be associated with installing an ASHRAE fan. So some caulking, the elbow, the flex, a switch, a plate, the fan, roof termination, tape foil, all that stuff, wire. And then based on this was like the wire was 20 cents a linear foot. So in my package I had to say there was 25 feet of wire, or there was 10 feet of aluminum 6-inch vent. So kind of create a user-defined measure for an ASHRAE fan in your setup library. As you're going through it, let me know if you need me to scroll around on my screen, or if you have any questions, and then just let me know once you're ready.
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
Ready.
Kyle, how you coming on this one? You need another minute or two?
No, I'm getting it. Go ahead.
Okay. So if we have all that set up, then when in our audit, we should be able to select from our user-defined measures. And so remember this is the user-defined measures. This one, if you select this is kind of the default stuff that's already in the audit. So if you select copy from your user-defined measures and then pick that measure, so I've got the ASHRAE bath fan. And it's just basically putting in that list of materials and saying that the total cost on that would be $330.96. So I've included that itemized cost on my audit. So go ahead and do that and let me know when you've got it.
We're good.
All right.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. So at this point, you may need to run your audit so it'll generate your measures. So go ahead and run your audit and then let's go to the Measures tab. And so Ian had said that basically he'll go through and he'll select if he's making separate work orders for different contractors. At this point, you can select that here and identify. So for example, if our ASHRAE fan was going to be installed by our electrician, then we could select a work order for the electrician. And mine did not generate a furnace, but it did generate a smart thermostat. I probably wouldn't send an HVAC tech out just to do that, but I don't know, maybe you would. So on this screen, select, because I think we created, when we were setting up our agency, we created a work order for electricians, HVAC, and weatherization crew, didn't we? I hope we did. But go ahead and select those. One of the things that I noticed, Ian said basically I don't think he uses the weatherization crew. I think he just leaves those all blank, because when we create a work order, it will just create one for everyone that's all the blanks, but it'll create a separate one for each contractor. So kind of go through this list and make sure that
My Windows didn't pay back.
yours didn't pay back. No worries.
No.
Yeah,
Neither did mine.
We'll get a mixed bag on that stuff. But do you guys have like some HVAC measures?
Yeah, I have the thermostat.
So go ahead and assign any of your HVAC measures to the HVAC contractor. And assign your ASHRAE fan to an electrical contractor. And really, we're just going to be working on that one, at least in this little example. So it won't matter what the other work orders really say anyway. And then the other thing you can do at this point, I think you can do it later as well, but if you know how you're going to pay for something, you could assign it right now. I'm assuming that you would probably wait and assign those at the very end. It probably doesn't matter at this point to have an auditor trying to assign those out now, does it?
No.
It would probably be more appropriate to just let the auditor's already identified this has to be paid for with health and safety by calling it an HSM. So, all right, so let's leave the cost center blank for right now. So I've got those. I'm going to click the create work orders, and I'm going to hit replace the previously generated work orders with new ones. I'm assuming yours will just say something different since you haven't created them yet. But this is kind of confusing because it says it was supposed to replace them, but this should have created 3 different work orders, and it says I now have 6 work orders associated with this audit. So generating this stuff a few times could get very messy because I think that this did not replace the existing ones.
I think you might have unselected the replace when you did that.
Oh, did I?
I think so.
I'm going to do it again. Let's see what it says. Oh, you're right. So if I click on that, there's now 3 work orders associated. So it got rid of all 6 of the other ones and gave me the 3 new ones. Thanks, Chad. Hang on just a second. Hey, what's going on? I'm doing pretty good. Sorry, guys. I was worried it was somebody who was trying to get in on this meeting. Okay, so we've got the work orders generated now, right? And so we need to find our work order that is for the electrical. So that would be this one. And so, and this is the part where I'm really bumping around in the dark because I don't completely understand the process. I think, so basically you could generate your work order and then send this out in the field, right? And the idea would be that your guys out in the field could actually write down on this form, just in pencil, you know, that we actually used this 2 of these and 1 of these and 15 of these instead of 25. So you'd actually, they would manually write in the number of units that they used. And then when that comes back in, whoever's closing out this file should be looking at that and saying, okay, I'm going to go into this measures thing and actually adjust from the estimated quantities to the actual quantities. I think that's our next step. Is that right? That seems logical, I hope.
Yep.
So let's say, let's see, Control P. Let me just turn this into a PDF really quickly and I'll make some notes on it about what we actually did on this one. So we'll say that, how would I do text? Just this, maybe. So we'll say it did take 2 man-hours and we used the 1 fan. Whoops. But let's say we only used 15, or we could, it could even be more. We'll just say we used 15 feet of wire. We only used 5 feet of this aluminum stuff. Do you guys ever break it up, or would you just keep 1 roll in a job, or how would? How would you guys?
That's where it comes down to kind of an ancillary item thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you'd say that we used a quarter of a roll of tape or what, you know. At some point, you've got to charge that roll of tape to a job. If you're leaving pieces of tape on a job, at some point to get it to, you know, to move it out of your inventory and say that it was consumed on a job, you've either got to itemize it to, you know, the 25 jobs that it went to, or you've got to itemize it to at least one of those jobs, right?
Right. Some jobs you use like a half a roll, and other jobs you only use about 12 inches.
I wonder if it would let us do a half of a roll. I don't know if it will. Let's try it. So let's say we used our roof termination, and let's say that we didn't use the switch because it already had a switch in place. Does that happen?
Yep.
But we used, so if this was a linear foot of duct, so
Use 25.
at $1.25, I probably should have, in my user-defined measure, I should have changed this to, say, like 10 feet or 15 feet or something of that. So I'm going to say, since I used 5 feet of aluminum plus an elbow, let's say we use like 8 feet of this flex. And we used this one elbow, and we used 1 tube of caulk. Okay. So put that over here. So now we need to go into our measure on the work order, and we want to, like, so this would come in with handwriting all over it saying that's what they actually used, or you might get a box back with stuff left over, right? So then we need to get into here and actually write down what was actually used on the job. And we're supposed to be able to copy something. Does it copy? Oh, so it copies over just that line. I'm just going to copy over everything, and then I'll probably go back and adjust it to what we just put in our notes. So I did say I had 1 tube of caulk. I used the 1 elbow. I used 8 feet of that duct. I didn't use the electric switch or the plate. And then we used 2 hours. We used the fan, the roof termination. Let's put in 0.5 for the foil tape, see what it does. And I used, so this says I was going to use 10 of those, and I only used 5, is that right? And then the wire on here? Oh, we used 15 feet of the wire. So that should, so it's showing my actual costs, my actual total. So if, whoops, I don't want to do that. So where I put in the 0.5 on the tape, it did cut it down to $5 for that roll of tape. So if you guys will do that in your work order and show the actual cost, and then the other thing that they were doing, they were actually typing in their field notes. So whatever came from the field, they were putting those notes on there. I don't know if they had to go in manually and put that over to the top of this on their final work order, or if you can put something in the comments. So I'm just going to put a note here because I want to see where these comments show up. Yeah, let me know once you've got that, and then let's see if we can run our client completion report and see what it gives us.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're with you.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep up here.
You're all right. We can wait another minute. All right, so I think at this point, once we've messed with our work order, we should be able to go into the client and run the client completion report. And hopefully for our ASHRAE measure, it should show us something. So for the work order for the electrician, it's showing is 326.38. For the ASHRAE measure, where was the ASHRAE measure? Gosh, I can find it here.
They're on the top right.
Top right, ASHRAE, right over here, right? So I wonder how it's calculating savings on that. Shouldn't be, because I put it in as not as an energy saving measure, right?
That's your infiltration reduction. It's got it under the same line for some reason.
Oh,
Ours came up that way too, but I think it's just because it's on the same work order. But yours
Wonder
is
how.
on a different work order.
Yeah, I put it on the work order for the electricians. So it's got electrical for the fan, and the HVAC work order has the thermostat, and then all other work orders should be all right here, including infiltration reduction. So all of that was on this weatherization work order. Weird. Anyway, so is this telling me now that my total actual cost was $326.38? Is that correct?
Yep.
So my estimated cost was $330.96. My actual was the $326.38. So, okay. It doesn't really give us any other detail beyond that, does it?
No, because there's no SIR or MMPTs saved on that one.
Okay. So we've at least gone through the whole process for one measure now. I guess the next step would be to go through the process with something that would have an SIR, right? All right, so we're an hour and 10 minutes, so we better stop. But you guys tell me what, and so I am out of town all next week. The following week, we can meet. I'll be down in Cedar City that week. So we could meet for an hour. Scott, what do you think would be a good time to do that?
I don't know, maybe Tuesday morning. Are you driving Monday?
I know we'll be down there Monday doing stuff in your office, and then I think we were going to maybe out in the field Tuesday, but if we wanted to do it, you know, if we wanted to do this at 7:30 or something, that would probably give us enough time to do this and then head out in the field.
Either that, or if you're here Monday morning, you can do it Monday morning.
You guys available on Monday? The
Yep.
15th, is that right? No, gosh. I'm in the
17th.
I'm in the wrong month. Yeah, so Monday the 17th. Yeah, would you guys be available at like, yeah, maybe, let's do it at 8 a.m. because I will be driving down there that morning too. Would 8 be too late for you guys, or would that work?
That'll work.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, I'll send you an invite to that. So what's a good assignment? What's kind of the next thing we got to work on? Do we need to create some more measures that would actually have an SIR and try and select them the way we did this health and safety measure, or you guys tell me?
Well, there's some on there already. There's some on there that have an SIR, but we should create like an NAM measure.
Okay. So now the NAM, we could create like maybe like an attic scuttle or something. We could do some sort of something for that. How do we do if it's just a regular measure with a regular SIR, we really can't use that user-defined measure process, can we? So if I went to the work order for, just grab just the regular, well, this one's a good one. So this one has just the smart thermostat, right? Now I suppose that would work because I think on any of our SIR measures, they're only going to have like material and labor, right?
Yes, that's what I'd like to know is how to build a list for the ECM measures.
Yeah.
Just click on the line underneath labor and you can add as many things as you want to it.
Yeah, do you have to do that every single time? You can't, how do you do a preloaded list so anytime, you know, a furnace pays back, you have all the gas fittings, all the, you know, maybe one sheet of metal already preloaded on there, so you're not, auditor's not spending a whole bunch of time figuring this out.
Yeah. So for the assignment, let's go in and create like a non-audited measure as a user-defined measure. Maybe create one or two more user-defined measures. Make sure you have all your stuff in your supply library and create a couple of measures, play around with that, and also play around with this. I can reach out to Ian and ask him if he has any guidance on this aspect of it as well, if there's any way to create a longer list so that you don't have to recreate this detail every single time for every measure. But if you guys will kind of add a couple of measures, try it out, and just make sure you have all your stuff in your libraries, and then any questions you guys come across while you're doing it, either add them to that shared document or shoot me an email or a text and I will add them. Does that work for stuff to do over the next 2 weeks?
Sure.
Yep.
Don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. Yeah, right. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your participation and, you know, just for putting up with me as I muddle through this. So have a good day. See some of you tomorrow at training and others of you in a week or two. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.